Gilbert, proven right again. He said that the communist mentor, top pornographer, top communist, top Soviet spy on record in his sector, Frank Marshall Davis, the real father of Barack Hussein Obama. It's undoubted. His film, Who's My Real Father, we sell it at Infowars.com. I didn't even believe it when I first saw it and checked it, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, this film will really freak you out. The whole Kenya thing was a bait and switch. We're going to break that down in the last 30 minutes of the broadcast today. But he has now basically been vindicated. Obama has come out and said he owes his worldviews to Frank Marshall Davis. It's unbelievable. The video, the audio is up on Infowars.com. Simply amazing. And we saw the pornography he shot with a woman that's the exact spitting image of Obama's mother on the same couch in the same house. I mean, it's the same pictures on the wall where Davis shot these Betty Page-style porns. And then it's his mother. And then he would spend whole summers there for at least 10 years with him. And his grandfather, who was CIA, was Frank Marshall Davis's, quote, best friend. I mean, that's in his book, Dreams of My Father, Obama's book, that he lived with Davis, a top communist pornographer. And then we've got his mother from the private collection that Gilbert was able to purchase. They've not denied it, and it's his mother. They didn't put a lot of the photos in the film. Boy, let me tell you. But back in the day, they didn't have video. People traded photos. And fine, she's in pornography. I'm not judging her. The thing is, she did that to be compromised. And this was her boyfriend. And that's why he said in the Harvard Review that he was from Kenya. He was the editor of the Harvard Review, and in 3 years, he was the editor every issue for a month. How many? Well, what's 3 times 12? That many times he said, I am from Kenya. I was born in Kenya. His father looks nothing like him. Then they said he never said that. Then his wife said in 2 speeches in 2007 that he was from Kenya, born in Kenya, so that we would all believe that and then fight over that, hiding the fact that his dad is Frank Marshall Davis, the communist. And he's now come out and said that he owes everything to that. I'm going to play the clip before he joins us, but whew, I mean, it's just over the top, and that's what the globalists will do. They admit that. They'll do stuff so over the top and so bold and so brazen that people can't even believe it. Our president, who is the spitting image of Frank Marshall Davis, I mean, it's him. That's his daddy. I mean, you look at my dad, you look at me, you look at my dad when he was my age, I mean, that's my daddy. You look at my mother, that's my mama. I mean, I look like my mama. Probably more than my daddy. Probably 60% look like my mother, 40% like my dad. And then you look at Frank Marshall Davis, I mean, it is Barack Obama's daddy. And he is a communist, known KGB officer and a top pornographer to fund the communist operation. And he was connected in with groups like the Weathermen and others. You know how they funded themselves. Bank robberies, you name it. I mean, you just can't make it up. I mean, we are in the hands of hardcore scum. I mean, we are in trouble. They are trying to bring this country down, Cloward and Piven style. I mean, he lived with Davis. It's his daddy. Looks just like him. And then he comes out and says it. Even talks like him. Talks like his daddy. It's his daddy. Not that guy over there in Kenya looks nothing like him. Stay with us. We're going to come back with the cops. Then we have the filmmaker, Joel Gilbert, who made Dreams My Real Father. We've now had congressmen come out and point out that Obama was raised by a communist pornographer, a top communist. I mean, it was fun about the Soviets to run newspapers nationwide. I mean, you're talking, in the committees, working for people that killed tens of millions. I mean, just super creepy. Tied into the Weathermen, all of them. I mean, this is a sinister group. And now Obama has come out and said, yeah, he basically learned everything from Frank Marshall Davis, who we know in his own book. Obama says he grew up with him and stayed with him on summers, and his grandfather was best friends with him. Yeah, and your mother basically was his girl and shot porn with him. And we've got him in the same house you were raised in with photos of you in the house on the same couch in the same room with the same pictures where the porn shot. And what's crazy is that no one picked that up. They'll pick up he's from Kenya all day, and I admitted we got fooled by that. I admitted all that. Because, again, he was the editor of the Harvard Law Review for multiple years, and in the foreword to it said, you know, it's a great honor as someone born in Kenya and you know, to be here now at Harvard and blah, blah, blah. And then his wife in the campaign, the first campaign, saying he was born in Kenya, and they put out fake birth certificates to upset us, to mess with us, to make us take the bait. I mean, they put out the typewriter font is the Microsoft Word font selection where each typewriter, like a snowflake, is a different blob, micro splats, like a ice flake, like a snowflake. All I did when it came out with Rob Dew, the first thing I did was, and it was in layers, we put out that it was in layers, got millions of views, you know, huge viral videos. We were the first. And I'm not a forensics person, but I'm not stupid. I know how to look at something and see if it's my signature. And the first thing we noticed is it was in 7 layers. And people said, well, that was an accident. They split the layers. There wouldn't be layers if it wasn't in layers before. It was a fake scan, and they put it out as the document to make it obvious. Only now, in hindsight, we figure all this out. So it was a deliberate forgery to get us off track, along with everything else, him not looking like his dad, on and on and on. The government not thinking it was his dad and throwing him out of the U.S., the fake commie dad. That was just their cover. So that we would never look at what was in his own book, hiding in plain view, that he spent summers with Frank Marshall Davis. That is just such a big deal because then they can blackmail Obama and control him with all of that information. The video's on Infowars.com. Obama admits noted communist schooled him on white racism. I'm going to play that clip in a moment. And then I've got something very exciting I want to announce to listeners. I threw this initiative out just a week ago, and our great reporters and researchers have hit the ground running. So I've got something really exciting I'm going to announce and play here in a moment. But first, here is that clip ahead of the guests joining us of Obama talking about Frank Marshall Davis, the guy that published communist newspapers all over the U.S., big ones. Worked for the Central Committee, KGB operative. Just incredible. And he also ran distribution of a major porn operation. That's how communists make their money. That and robbing banks and stuff. That's the Weatherman, though. Let's go ahead and go to that clip.
And the passage finally ends with me having a conversation with a close friend of my maternal grandfather, a close friend of Gramps, a black man from Kansas named Frank Marshall Davis, who had moved to Hawaii and lived there. He sort of schools me on that I should get used to these frustrations.
And you look at him, he is his father's son. I mean, that is daddy.
Thanks. Great to be back with you. You know, my film, Dreams from My Real Father, this came out in 2012, and it's just fascinating to me to watch how long it takes for people to really pay attention and realize it. It's coming out more and more. The influence of Frank Marshall Davis is undeniable. He had a profound ideological impact, and I can talk about that. But all the research is in, and I think I've convinced a lot of people and demonstrated that Frank Marshall Davis was Barack Obama's real biological father.
It's her. She did lesbian porn, everything.
Yeah, and he then became his ideological mentor. There's absolutely no question.
He says it.
The Kenya story is simply a cover story because he knows Americans would be uncomfortable if he said, my father was a Soviet agent who indoctrinated me into the Marxist ideology. Incredible. And I am wanting to come and live in the White House so I can help spread this all over the country. That wouldn't work. So he had to say, my father was a goat herder from Kenya, and I'm going to bring people together. So the reality is that Obama is what we call a red diaper baby. This means the child of a Communist Party USA member. And I want to tell you, Davis was not only a Communist Party member, he was a communist propagandist. And he also acted as a Soviet agent. People don't understand this. He went from Chicago to Hawaii in 1948 on the orders of the Kremlin to help start a strike and organize the dock workers with the goal of taking over the Hawaiian government and expelling U.S. naval forces.
And he had massive funding and was able to start major newspapers, you name it.
That's correct. So first, he started a strike for 6 months. The goal was to get rid of U.S. naval forces and allow for Soviet expansion in Asia. The strike he organized eventually failed, and he went on to become a communist propagandist and writer for years. And then, as you can see, in 1960, he fathered the current president of the United States, who has hidden this background. And that's the profound manipulation of the electorate, is he tried to make people think his family was from Kenya, rather than the reality that he was a radical and the child of a Communist Party member, and he was indoctrinated into this ideology which calls for the elimination of the United States.
And we played into it. You didn't. And I want to go back briefly. This is so incredible. You have new info on how you, with others, discovered this. I mean, you deserve a Pulitzer Prize for this. I'm not just kissing your butt. I don't say that to a lot of our guests. Because I even bought it hook, line, and sinker. It was designed for me and Dr. Corsi and others. Because, I mean, look, he says in the Harvard Review, every issue, you know, hey, I'm the editor. I came from Kenya, was born there. It's amazing I could be here. You know, as he says it in literature. He does it in book proposals. He does it, his wife says it in speeches in 2007. And then we're just going, it's a fake birth certificate. You say you're from Kenya. We're being attacked. The media will never play the clips of why we're saying he's from Kenya. And then the whole thing was a setup. He was really the son of one of the top communist agents in the U.S., and then his grandfather was admittedly CIA, and his mother a sex operative. I mean, you can't make that up.
It's the sadder story is that America was deceived. People sent their kids to the army. People worked all their lives to protect the right to vote. And people went and voted in an election with a complete deception. Obama lied about his personal background, but he also lied about his political goals. He said Obamacare is not a tax. I'm going to cut the deficit in half. He never intended to do any of these things. It was a complete lie, following the ideology to use a big lie to take power, and then once you take power, use the tools of state, like the IRS, the control of information, to keep a permanent hold on power. So the tragedy is far beyond Obama's family. It's what has happened to the United States and how he's degrading our relationships and our allies around the world. The United States cannot exist in the world as a lone democracy between two oceans. We need strong allies who share our values in Western Europe, Israel, Australia, Japan, and he's used the power of state to degrade our alliances worldwide.
Well, look, he won't let us have one gold mine, one copper mine. He's shutting down power plants every week. China's opening new ones. He's raising taxes. He's opening the borders completely, saying we'll pay for everybody free. I mean, he is destroying the country. I just can't believe that the elite are allowing him to do this. Because, I mean, the elite are corrupt, but man, I mean, is this a communist double cross of the robber barons? What's going on?
Well, Obama's election was not a sudden political phenomenon. It really was the result of an American socialist movement that has been quietly infiltrating the U.S. economy, media, entertainment for decades. So Obama was able to take power with the cover of all these people who simply, the media, rather than investigate his story. I've been to Hawaii twice, which is twice as much as all the media combined. They simply repeated his story. My father's a goat herder from Kenya. I'm going to bring people together. The reality, he should have said, which they would have brought out if they even asked him, is what was your relationship with Frank Marshall Davis? What was the impact on you? Why did you follow in his footsteps all the way back to Chicago, where you teamed up with your real father's buddy, Vernon Jarrett, the father-in-law of Valerie Jarrett, working for a communist newspaper?
And, of course, his dad had been in Chicago, right, and actually started that newspaper, didn't he?
Well, Frank Marshall Davis was a Chicago journalist. He joined the Communist Party in 1932, only 15 years after the Bolshevik Revolution. He was one of the original black Bolsheviks, along with Paul Robeson. And the communists manipulated journalists and black people into thinking that if you follow communism, will eliminate racism. They didn't realize that if you follow communism, you eliminate everybody, not just racism, but everyone becomes impoverished, and the societies end up decaying biologically and economically. So Davis was one of the original black Bolsheviks, And as I said, he acted on behalf of the Soviet Union as a Soviet agent, went to Hawaii. How profound is it that the President of the United States is the son of a Soviet agent? And don't think that the Kremlin and the Russians don't know who Obama is, and they would not use that against him, knowing that he's keeping such a profound secret.
And that's why certain elements of the CIA and the Ford Foundation that's helped fund him his whole life like him there too, because they can use that and control him as well.
Yeah, the President of the United States cannot have a big secret like this. We know that Bill Clinton was speaking to Monica Lewinsky from a cell phone from the White House. And there's no doubt that that could easily have been intercepted by Chinese agents, other foreign agents, and used against the president as blackmail. So Obama has set himself up and set up the whole country with this false narrative that he's the son of a Kenyan goat herder, when in fact he's a red diaper baby, the son of a radical American communist who taught him and indoctrinated him into a radical ideology. And I think in my film, I show that he followed in his father's footsteps to Occidental to study with Marxist professors. He went to New York to go to socialist scholars conferences. He hooked up with Bill Ayers and went to Chicago, back where his father started in the communist movement. And Obama became a trainer for 10 years for Acorn. And he rose
You can
up
see the whole thing. Let me ask you this. You're a really smart guy, and I respect your opinion, Joel Gilbert. The filmmaker joins us. I get Dreams from My Real Father, and There's No Place Like Utopia, both available at InfoWarsStore.com or on his site as well. Just support the filmmaker, support this operation as well. Show this to your friends and family. I mean, if this doesn't wake them up, nothing will. It really wakes a lot of people up when they see the irrefutable evidence that his dad is a communist agent, pornographer, and that his mom is in lesbo porn. You know, it just shows how compromised he is. Forget the moral judgment about the stuff. Just that alone. Let me ask you this. How do you think Obama's doing? What do you think he'll try in his last 2 years in office? Where do you see this country going? Because I don't see them not going for broke as bad as he really is.
Just like his other predecessors in the Weather Underground and SDS, don't forget Bill Ayers became a mentor later. In 1969, Bernardine Dohrn with the Weather Underground declared war on the United States. I think Obama is taking a chapter out of that book, and he is declaring war in the United States without actually saying it. Just like they had a war against the cops, kill the cops. This was the mantra back in the late 60s. They've
George Soros again, $33 million to fund with people chanting "kill the cops." Well, what is their end game?
This is the original movement. All you have to do is look back to the communist movement of the Weather Underground, Prairie Fire. The goal is to eliminate the American middle class and destroy the foundation of the capitalist system. They know that church-going, hardworking people will never buy into this progressive nonsense. So their goal has always been to eliminate the middle class, raise taxes, give away their health care to poor and illegals, flood the country with immigrants, degrade our position abroad, do everything they can to eliminate the foundation of what supports the free market system, and that is the only threat to their having a permanent hold on power. The goal is to keep a permanent hold on power.
And Cloward and Piven's almost here. We've been maneuvered towards total bankruptcy. We're beyond that. They just haven't pulled the plug yet. They've dumbed the kids down. They are just distracting us with every crazy issue you can imagine. The great commissar Michelle tells our kids what to eat. Joel, I know you got a big breaking news story that'll be out tonight or tomorrow at WorldNet Daily. Can you tell us what it pertains to?
Yeah, I'll give you a hint. I've developed relationships over the last year or two with close Obama confidants and relatives. And I will be dropping a major interview with a major Obama family member tonight, and you should see it tomorrow on WorldNet Daily unless there's any delay. But that is the expectation, and there will be very profound new light shed on the issue of Frank Marshall Davis, as well as Obama's relationship with the Kenyan family. People, if you read the news, you kind of get the picture that Obama made a very big deal out of the Kenyan connection, out of all these relatives, in order to get elected. Once he was in office, he never talks about them again and never has anything to do with them. And the Kenyan Obamas have been paying attention to this and wondering why this strange behavior. His whole life, he actually interacted with them a lot. He visited Kenya several times. He hosted the Kenyan relatives. And once he achieved the presidency, all of a sudden, you never hear about them, nor do they hear from him.
And we're going to find out tomorrow what's really going on. If it does break tomorrow, please come back on for another 20 minutes, Joel Gilbert, because I know if you're saying it's really important, it's going to be big.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Again, folks can go to his website and get his films, or go to InfoWarsStore.com. Dreams from My Real Father, and there's no place like Utopia. Dreams from My Real Father was a huge blockbuster online and in DVD sales. It's been a big seller as well. Dreams of My Real Father, but I mean, nothing, the new film, nothing compared to that from what I've seen. And I think it's even a better film and more powerful film overall, just about the collectivism and what it's actually done to black communities and others. There's no place like Utopia is available at InfoWarsStore.com. You need to get that film, not just to support us, but so this information the system doesn't want you to see, you have it, and you can show it to others. That's how we're going to change things, is waking people up that Obama is a total fiction, a fraud, and is being blackmailed by criminal globalist interests. So get both the films, InfoWarsStore.com.